Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We are here for another one of your questions about work. And for those of you who are joining us here for the first time, I'm Roy. I'm a startup investor with my colleague Min and co-host Min. And we invest in the future of work. And this is where we share some of the stuff that we've been asked or thinking about.
Yeah, and today we're talking about expanding your team. And so, Roy, if I'm like a manager or something, should I expand my team, or how do I deal with increased workload?
I think there is a powerful natural bias to want to add more people and I think it's a dangerous bias. The reason I think it's a powerful bias is there's a few reasons. One is in many organizations, how many people you have working for you is kind of one of the few soft measures of your power. So if you have a big org, you are seen as more powerful than somebody else. Another reason is that the implication is everybody is doing their job well. So of course the only answer is that we should add more people. And what ends up happening is you end up giving organizations that get bloated and slow. And one of the major reasons I think Facebook, much as you can say what you want about what they've done in the world, they are seen to be and perceived to be internally an exceptionally well-run company. One of the reasons I believe is that they countered that bias to adding bodies from a relatively early time in their existence as a company. And so the first question to me is, it's like, okay, your team needs to take on more, and you got to figure out how. Well, you may or may not even be able to control if you can add more people, but if you're the CEO of the company, maybe you can control it directly or you have some extra budget. The first question to me is, we tend to think of everything as additive as human beings, meaning you have a new thing, you tack it onto the old things. Oftentimes, the very best thing you can do is subtract. Is you can use that rule. I don't know if it's a Marie Kondo rule or something like that, but like maybe this is just something that got spurred in my family after reading Marie Kondo, which is if you're going to bring something new in, take something old out. And the Bloomberg Beta team, just as an example, has grown. We've tripled our amount of money that we manage since we started the firm, and I think we have 2 extra people, something like that, which is not tripling. Because we did not have 2/3 of a person before. That math didn't work, but we didn't wait. Anyway, you get it. And so the first step is subtracting, which is really, really hard because you have to rip something out of somebody's hands. The second step is seeing if it works with the existing team, because what you'll often find is somebody figures out a way to get it done. And you then also have the intelligence of knowing what you need to hire a little bit better. And then it sort of raised the question, okay, like when do you need to hire? And that's when you feel like you have a system that's working, clear roles, and you're just expanding the machine. Okay, we know a sales rep generates this much sales. Let's keep expanding the machine. Even then, you want to keep trying to reallocate, but that's kind of how I think about it. Or the other time to hire is when an exceptional person comes along. If you're like, look, this person's just so amazing, I can't imagine trying to do this team's job without having this person on board, or I think they could be so special, then forget about the math of workloads. Get the special person involved if you can. Again, all high-class problems. So that's how I think about it. How do you think about it, Min?
Well, I was thinking about it also in the context of our team, where we are like every couple months we reevaluate what are all the projects that are in flight, and then which one of them, or how do we think about them on like the axis of important versus like urgent. And sometimes there are things that feel urgent, but maybe more or less important. And if there are things that you can drop, it might actually free up workload and the capacity for your team. And then if you realize, like, actually, we have a lot of things that are important and urgent, and we don't have support, there's always the option of, do you need to hire somebody like full time, or is this something that you can maybe get some help like part-time on like a project or maybe consulting or contracting basis?
Great point is that even before you enter the commitment to hire somebody, there's all these other steps, using software, using a virtual person, a contractor, Upwork, whatever, and that you kind of have this gradation of them. So I love that. And I think that's what we got today. And the reason we call it This Is Not Advice is because Min and I are not telling you what you should do. We are describing our own experiences and you're deciding for yourself. Most people who give advice are trying to get you to justify their choices, or worse, experiment through you.
And so we'll be back tomorrow. What are we talking about, Roy, tomorrow?
I don't remember. You know what? By the time I look, it'll be
Yeah.
I'll have bored everybody. So stay tuned for a
Stay tuned.
surprise.
Turn on your notifications for Roy Bahat on Twitter, and
That's
you'll
it,
tune in for
something like
more.
that, or LinkedIn, or wherever you use the internet. To be continued. Thank you, men.
Thanks, Roy.